Your market news now. Asian markets fell, tracking Wall Street declines as investors continue to rotate out of tech stocks and take profits from the rally in equities in recent weeks. Microsoft stock fell early this morning as the company's services outage hit banks, airlines and other businesses around the world. The problem appeared to be caused by an update from cybersecurity software company CrowdStrike. In recent pre-market trading, Microsoft stock is down nearly 3%. CrowdStrike shares were down nearly 19%. The two companies were the worst performers on the Nasdaq 100. Traders in oil, gas, power, stocks, currencies and bonds from London to Singapore struggled to operate. Meanwhile, locally, Capitec earlier confirmed it was experiencing nationwide service issues as customers were unable to log into their online banking. Rival ABSA said in an X post that it was aware of global tech outages, and as a result, the quality of some of its services may be impacted. Meanwhile, the all-share index is down 0.7%. Financials are up 0.1%. Industrials and resources are also in negative territory. Resources down 2.2%. Looking at the currency picture, the rand is trading at 18.35 to the dollar, 19.96 to the euro, and 23 rand 70 to the pound. To help us look back at the week that was and get into more detail about the market dynamics, we are joined by Patrice Rousseau, who's the Chief Investment Officer at Ashburton Investments. Patrice, thanks so much for your time. Let's start off with this IT outage, because that impacted a lot of the market participants who wake up in the morning to get a sense of the overnight picture as well as what was going on in Asia. What was the impact for you, given what you do?
Yes, very interesting. No impact on our trading operations yet. So we obviously keeping an eye on this. But I think it's very interesting. You've had a context where tech stocks have been under pressure. The Nasdaq was down almost 3% yesterday, and we get hit this morning by that news that a software update, cybersecurity software update by CrowdStrike, had an impact on all Microsoft Windows users, and it's, I think, again, a reflection of the type of business risk that you run and exposure you have to software. We are used to software attacks or attacks on companies, ransomware attacks, but not quite such a widespread player in Microsoft's software, which is usually quite reliable. And it's impacted a number of industries. You've spoken already, aviation, finance, with some banks having trouble. Capitec has already sent communication, and Santam also, I'm aware, has sent communication to users. And the London Stock Exchange news service was down for a period in time, although trading on the London Stock Exchange has continued. So I think we are now getting to grips with this, although there's been an announcement a few minutes ago from Microsoft to say that the problem had been fixed. So let's see whether things can get better on the front foot in the second half of the day.
All right. Apart from the IT outage issues, when you look at global market sentiment, given the picture we saw coming out of the US and into the Asian side of things, and also some of the things that we're grappling with from a markets perspective, what's your sense of market performance, whether you're looking at the JSE or global?
Yes, it's a very interesting question. So post the elections and the formation of the government of national unity, we've had financials who in 3 months did 21%. The all-share did 10%, property did 10%, bonds did 10%, the rand strengthened by 5%. So all around, there was a relief rally for SA Inc. shares, bonds, or anything related to SA Inc. And there were some expectations that we would continue globally to see earnings strong. I think what has derailed matters a bit has been basically the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump. Now, you've heard a lot from the Republican convention. There are concerns that we might go back into a trade war. If you recall, the viewers would recall, the US had imposed a lot of tariffs and sanctions against a number of countries which were exporting into its market, and that tends to be growth negative So that type of sentiment is starting to come through, and markets are trying to digest what does that mean. Does that mean that you have rotation to new stocks? So we're starting to see, for instance, the Dow Jones, which is basically more industrial heavy, outperforming or outperforming some of the more tech heavy Nasdaq indices. So I think they're grappling with this. Same thing. US small caps have had a very strong run. Again, it's more US centric stocks, very much like what we've seen, starting to benefit from the sentiment that maybe small caps will benefit from a more protectionist approach to the economy by a Republican government.
With less than a minute to go, when it comes to local equities, are you neutral on them, or how are you feeling?
Yeah, we're still quite positive. I think despite the rally that we've seen, I think if you just think, for instance, load shedding, which last year was a real issue in terms of growth, that should be more positive going forward. The rand, yes, although it's wobbling today, has been stronger. So inflation should be under control, and we expect the Reserve Bank maybe to start cutting very soon, maybe 2 cuts or 3 cuts before the end of the year. So that should be positive for the SA economy.
All right, Patrice, thank you so much for your time. That is Patrice Rousseau, who's the Chief Investment Officer at Ashburton Investments. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll have a look at SME on Point.